Support for Arkansas Week provided by the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, the Arkansas Times, and Little Rock Public Radio.
And hello again, everyone, and thanks very much for being with us. It is a very rare family that is not touched by cancer. It has tormented the human race since time immemorial, and while real progress has been made in combating cancer, so very much remains undone because so much about cancer remains unknown. Some new cancer research is about to begin in our state, research that could provide some urgently needed answers, and we'll go to that subject in just a few moments. But we begin this edition with a subject that everyone has heard about, but too few of us understand: artificial intelligence. Come fall, Arkansas's John Brown University at Siloam Springs will become the first university campus in Arkansas to offer a major in artificial intelligence. Dr. Justus Selwyn is the chair of John Brown's Computer Science Department, and he joins us now. Doctor, thanks very much for coming in. How does AI differ from a major in AI? How will that differ from a major in just conventional computer science?
Okay, thanks for having me in your show. Computer science, we deal with computer languages, programming languages, and technologies like database and software engineering, which aim towards producing software products or software applications. But artificial intelligence by itself, or collection of software products and machines that simulate human thinking and problem-solving abilities. So it is one step ahead or up above the regular software applications that you use. Mimics human thinking process.
Yeah, what's going to be the approach you take with this in the classroom or in the laboratory?
Okay, so since AI is based on computer science or built upon computer science discipline, we teach the basic programming languages like Python, Java, C#, and web technologies, and a few advanced frameworks and processes in these programming languages. And top of this, we introduce database, data structures, and algorithms in which we train our students to solve problems using algorithms, using databases and facts and rules. So in this way, we introduce the AI concepts and technologies like machine learning and deep learning and all this stuff into the curriculum.
Well, John Brown is, of course, a faith-based institution, and in your announcement declaration that you will be offering a major in artificial intelligence, you're going to offer it from a Christian perspective. How will that differ? Explain that, if you would.
Okay, so people think AI is evil and it is bad, but it is not, because we are already using AI in many forms, even like a decade or 2 decades from now. So we are enjoying the advantages of AI, like Google Maps or Google search engines, or Amazon Alexa voice recognition systems, and even Apple's iPhone Face ID recognition. So we are already using AI technology in our day-to-day life. But when JBU thought, why not we offer AI as a major, we searched, we did a small research in what colleges offered it. But when we found that, why not we offer AI from the Christian perspective, like serving others and honoring God through our vocation. So we need people and brains that could think in that way, thinking in a Christian way in solving problems, and also using technology to the max to the benefit of the community and to the society. So that's where JBU came forward to think about offering an AI as a full major from the Christian perspective.
So if I understand it correctly, then the model will be to apply AI toward denominational ends or towards philosophical or spiritual ends.
Yeah. So apply AI in such a way that you serve the community first. When I say serve the community, I always used to tell my students, when you're trying to solve a problem using software or AI technology, have people as the center point. So think about people. When I say people, first think about as your family member, as if you're offering a software product to your family member. So in that way, you use your head and heart and hands for the glory of God, and as well you're serving your people.
So an institution or an entity, a force that we call artificial intelligence, that and computers as a whole, while they may be inherently or intrinsically value neutral, they can be applied to, say, spiritual ends or to public service ends.
Yes.
And give us an example, for example, how would you anticipate that this might be the case, or how it might be employed?
Okay, so let me go with this example. In the fall 2022, when ChatGPT was introduced into the world, like everybody was talking about that. ChatGPT came into our classrooms, into the assignments, into the coding exercises that we offered. But is it right or wrong? We don't have a proper answer to that. Is it ethical or is it spiritual? Is it correct from the Christian point of view? We don't have an answer for that yet. But what as faculty from JBU, what we do is that try to help students think that the work that I do for my grade should be my own work. So that way I'm not using someone else's work, like a ChatGPT's work, or a prompt given to ChatGPT would give results, but those results may not be right for an assignment. So we encourage students to think in such a way that morally, I should do my work to get grades. It's not wrong using ChatGPT to learn, but in order to get a grade, let students use their own thinking process instead of depending on someone else. So that is considered a kind of plagiarism, which goes against any institution's policies while they turn in their assignments for grading. So in that way, we make sure that we help students to think on their own and improve their skill set and competencies in the technologies or in any programming languages that they learn inside the classroom, not only inside, but also outside the classroom, making them think in a Christian way and also making them think morally.
Well, yeah, there is, as we understand it anyway, in your AI curriculum, computer curriculum, there is going to be a strong ethics component in there in terms of the coursework of the instruction. How is that going to work? Can you go into that just a bit?
Yeah. So in JBU, for all majors, including computer science and engineering, we say, or we practice this faith and integration in the teaching learning process. So it is not going to be new for AI as well. When we say faith and integration into the classroom setup, we teach scriptures along with the technology that we teach. We take devotions, faculty teach devotions in the classroom. So it is always going to be learning technology and also learning that from the Christian perspective, from the scriptures perspective. But for AI, we are also introducing ethics as an exclusive course for AI majors. So that's going to be a required course for AI grads, which is going to be offered from fall 2024. Along with the Christian perception, ethics course is also going to be there.
Sure. AI is not inherently benign, though. A lot of us we see a sinister aura about artificial intelligence. Is that not justified, at least to some extent? Not everybody will be able to take advantage of the JB's ethics course in AI.
Yeah. So when new innovations come in, people are like no to those innovations and new things come in. But when they start using it and using it ethically or using it the way that it should be used for the benefit of the society, then that technology becomes a day-to-day routine. Like search engine and calculator, when they came in, it was not appreciated at the beginning. But then when it became a routine and it was so helpful inside the classrooms, outside, in our jobs, in our everyday life, it is beneficial. Then these technologies are having a positive impact in our everyday life and also in our community.
Overall, AI, where is it going to take us? Do we even know? Do we have a clue where AI is going to take us? As a society, as a culture, as a country, as a world?
Yeah. Within the past 1.5 years, maybe 1 year, the AI technology is spoken a lot. The advancements are really rapid and fast. We do not know where it's going to go, but what we can say is that AI is going to make its presence everywhere. 3 decades back, computers were making their presence everywhere. You talk about hospitals, talk about business, banking, education institutions. Computers came in 3 decades ago, but now AI now started. It's going to be everywhere. It's already been there in almost any business that you name, in terms of machine learning, in terms of data analytics, finance analytics. It is already there, but the future is going to be even more AI driven. Data that every business produces, like education institutions like JBU or healthcare industry or machinery, manufacturing, production, name any industry, they are having lots of data with which they are going to do analytics using model. So what I see is into the future, AI is going to be part of not only everyday's activities, is part of every business's, every institution's thing.
Well, it has the potential to turn society just upside down, does it not? Should we be afraid of it? I guess that's what I'm asking.
No, it's nothing to be scary about that. When we are scaling up to that level to use those tools, Google search engine was fantastic when it came. We thought that is it going to take away all the libraries? It did not. So AI in the same way, we are just speculating whether it's going to turn all of the community and society upside down, but it is not. What we are invited to do, or what we are called to do, is that we as people, as grads or future engineers, need to scale up their skills and competencies with these fast advancements of technologies. And that will be a better society. That's what I think from the perception of a researcher, from a perception of an academician.
Well, we thank you so much for explaining it for us. Good luck with the program. Dr. Justus Selwyn, thank you for joining us from Siloam Springs at John Brown University. Thanks very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And we'll be back in a moment. We are back. What causes cancer? What drives its sometimes exponential growth? Why do some people get cancer and others don't, even with similar or even identical lifestyles and environments? Some things we know. Tobacco is not a good idea, for example, nor ingesting any number of everyday household chemicals. But a million mysteries remain, and one of the biggest is why cancer cells behave as they do. To try to answer that and other questions about cancer, the federal government has sent the University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences more than $11 million to create a center that will study malignancy at the molecular level. With us is the man in charge of the mission, Dr. Robert Eoff, director, and Dr. Eric Enemark, who is the core director, sidekick, so to speak, at UAMS, the Center for Molecular Interactions in Cancer. All of it above my pay grade. But gentlemen, thank you for coming in. Are we at a situation where we can't possibly understand cancer until we understand the cell, and it is still a mystery? Dr. Eoff, we'll begin with you.
So yeah, certainly understanding things at the molecular level gives us a more precise understanding of cancer. Is it the only thing that we need in our arsenal to address this complex and heterogeneous set of diseases? No, but it's a great tool to have, and that's something that we hope to build capacity for with this grant.
Yeah. What are we going to do? I mean, what?
So
how to approach this? I mean, you're coming at it from two angles, right?
Right. So our approach is to come at it from a very basic science perspective. We are fortunate in this particular center to have some clinician scientists on board with our team, so that the basic research that we're doing, doesn't lose sight of the clinical perspective, the endpoint, the end goals that we want to achieve in terms of finding better ways to identify, treat, and ultimately cure different types of cancer. But what we're building specifically with this grant, which it's a grant that's funded by the National Institutes for General Medical Sciences, so NIGMS, through a program called the Institutional Development Award, or the IDEA program. And a little bit of history, this is a program that was spawned originally. It was conceived by a congressman from Arkansas, Congressman Ray Thornton. So he started or led the charge for starting the EPSCoR program. And then that's morphed and evolved, and so now we have the IDEA program. So we can trace the lineage of our Center for Molecular Interactions in Cancer all the way back to Congressman Thornton.
Back in the 1970s.
Back in the 70s, yes, sir.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to build is infrastructure, so bring in young faculty, new faculty with exciting ideas who are all studying cancer. So we have folks that are studying different aspects of lung cancer, breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, trying to understand why blood-borne cancer, the same pathway in a blood-borne cancer might behave differently in a solid tumor, and ultimately leverage that to improve diagnostics and therapies. But our key tool in our arsenal, and that's where Dr. Enemark is an expert, is structural biology. So mapping the three-dimensional structure of these molecules that are in our cells, and they're behaving differently, they're interacting with different proteins in a tumor cell versus a non-tumor cell. And so trying to map the three-dimensional topography with the tools that we're going to build with this grant is a major goal for
Dr. Enemark,
the grant.
Yes, so we have within this program, this grant, there's several investigators who have expertise in varying types of cancers in the cells, and what we're trying to bring to them is these structural biology techniques which they don't know how to apply as well, and so we're going to bring those techniques to them to be able to study the proteins that are involved in the cancers that they're studying.
Sort of, see if I'm oversimplifying it here. This is a coffee cup, okay? But why is it a coffee cup? Is that sort of where we're headed?
So the investigators, they may have an idea and know very well which proteins that are involved in the malignancies they're studying, but they might not be able to see at a molecular level what the problems they may have.
How did this thing come together?
How do these things work together? How do they interact with other partners in the cell? And so that's what structural biology can provide, is a real image of the molecule, of the proteins themselves that are participating in these processes.
Right. Are we still, and I think we do, President Biden declared war on cancer not terribly long ago, but I seem to recall a president about 40 or 50 years ago declaring the same war. How far ahead are we today than we were, say, 3 generations ago? Have we got a better handle on this plague?
So certainly there have been many advances, and you can see that in survival rates and outcomes for a multitude of different types of cancers that used to be incurable that now we can cure. But I would say the thing that we know now that we didn't know back then, it's what I alluded to earlier. Cancer isn't one disease. There's no silver bullet, or I think most people would agree, most scientists and clinicians would agree, what's going to be effective for treating somebody with advanced stage lung cancer is going to be different for somebody with multiple myeloma. It's a complex set of heterogeneous diseases, and even within a tumor, you have different populations of cells. You might be able to get rid of one population, but then the other population thrives later on and the cancer comes back. So the war is ongoing. We have some better tools. We certainly have, and that's one of the beauties of this particular grant or what we're trying to accomplish here is the tool sets that we have now allow us to ask more complex questions and understand, like he was talking about, a protein that might be different in a tumor cell versus a healthy tissue. We can not only better study that one protein, But now we have tools where those proteins are interacting with other proteins or nucleic acids. And the tools, the instrumentation in structural biology and other molecular types of approaches, those tools have advanced to the point where we can study those complexes more effectively. Whereas in the past, we might have been able to get to that point, but it was extremely challenging and labor intensive. And now we've got robotics to help us to speed up the pipeline. Again, to ask more complicated questions and get the answers faster.
For all its sinister applications, I guess, or there's a shroud of the sinister around artificial intelligence, but you'll be using this, Dr. Enemark, to no small extent, right?
So we have, it's an important part of the technique of cryo-EM, uses machines that use artificial, are adapted for artificial intelligence, and some of this does go into that, those types of determinations of structures, so we can see the molecules we're interested in.
Yeah. So we're not necessarily still at the point where we don't know what we don't know about cancer. There's much that we don't, I know, but there is, the aggregate knowledge is increasing.
I think, yeah, so knowledge is always increasing, but I think we're always finding things that we didn't realize we didn't know.
This is true, yeah. Yeah, I would completely agree with shining the light on the things that we didn't know. We continue, as Dr. Enemark alluded to shine the light in places and, oh, we didn't know that. And again, part of that goes back to just the sensitivity, the high throughput nature of not just structural biology, but technology in general associated with biomedical research. We can detect things at a lower level. We can do things more quickly. So I think that leads to us, discovering more undiscovered countries.
So one door open and leads to another corridor.
Yeah. But the advent of computational biology, AI, those sorts of things, I think, really help us to understand those, we're moving towards the time when we can better understand those complex data sets where you've got tens or hundreds of thousands of data points, and making sense of that is exceptionally challenging, but we're getting to that point where we can better understand that.
If there is a next stage of your research, Doctor, what would it be? I mean, is there a plateau, an immediate plateau anyway, and from there you'll move on to the next stage? Is it possible to even speculate as to what that would be?
So, I think it's important to put it within the context of what is the purpose of this grant, of this award, of this center. And the number one goal of this center is to build a community of scientists, so build research programs, right, all in a thematic area. And so the next stage for us is we have our junior faculty that are supported by this grant, and they get another grant, and they're able to build a rigorous, world-renowned research program, and then we recruit in somebody else to fill their slot. And so we're just bringing in more minds, more ideas, as well as building the technical side of it with the tools that Eric's going to build.
Yeah. What made UAMS a good launching pad for this? What made our facility attractive to the federal health establishment?
Well, one thing that has been going on at UAMS is it's been really investing in its cancer center program, and so we were able to have a lot of infrastructure built to do structural biology and other approaches that the center is now going to use. And so I think the federal government can see that we've already made a major investment and have these techniques operational here, and we now just need to plug in the investigators that Dr. Eoff was talking about. They can now, it's all set up and ready to go.
Yeah, we're not talking about a 2-month project here. I mean, the span, the initial span anyway, is what, 5 years, I believe.
Yes, sir. So this is a 5-year, it's called phase 1, and ultimately the way this award mechanism is designed is for potentially 3 5-year phases. And ultimately, in the third phase, you've built something that's self-sustaining, and you've got this community of people all thinking about similar sorts of things and bouncing ideas off of each other. And in this case, hopefully making an impact on cancer diagnoses, treatment for Arkansans.
All right. Gentlemen, the best of luck to both of you, and hope you'll come back soon and keep us posted.
Will do.
Thanks very much for being with us.
Appreciate it.
And as always, we thank you for joining us. See you next time.
Support for Arkansas Week provided by the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, the Arkansas Times, and Little Rock Public Radio.